Alright, so before we start our mini project, I just want to go over CSS transitions really quick and just give you an example. Basically, transitions are effects that can let an element gradually change from one style to another. Okay, so we can specify different styles and then smoothly transition from one to another. And this could be maybe a proportion, height and width, animation, or a movement, or pretty much anything, any kind of CSS styling. Okay, so let's go ahead and just create a basic web page. Alright, and I'm just going to use inline styling. This is going to be very simple. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create just a div, and then in the style, say div, and I'm going to give it a width of 150 pixels and a height of 150 pixels, and give it a background, of blue. And let's just take a look at that, make sure that works. Okay, so there we have a blue square. So what I want to do is I'm now going to say div hover, and when we hover, I'm going to change the width to 400 pixels. Alright, so nothing we haven't seen before. Click on it, it gets wider. Alright, so what I want to do is use a transition to ease in this to this. Okay, instead of just clicking, just hovering and have it change right away, I want it to ease into it. Okay, so to give us a little animation. So I'm going to use the transition property, and this is actually the shorthand. I'll show you the long version after. Basically, we want to say transition and then the style or property that we want to animate. In this case, it's going to be the width. All right, and then we want the duration, which will say 2 seconds. Alright, so now if I save this and we reload, you can see it's doing the same thing. It's making it wider, it's changing the width, but it's animating it now. It's doing it, it's a transition. Okay, so that's basically what transitions are. We don't need to do just width. Alright, so let's say we want height 400 pixels. Okay, now you can see I specified width in the transition, so if I go ahead and do this, it's still going to transition the width, but the height is just kicking in as it would normally. We can actually change width to all and reload, and it's going to transition width and height. Alright, we can even go a step further and change the color. We'll change it to red, and we hover. Wait a minute, we need the background color, background red. And you can see it gradually changes the color. So basically that's what we're going to do with our menu for our drop downs. Okay, now this is the shorthand, like I said. Let me just give you an example. So we would say the transition property is width. Let me get rid of this. Alright, and then the duration (2 seconds). Alright, so this is essentially what we just did. Alright, that's just the long way, and there's some other properties you can use as well. For instance, we could set a delay We'll set a delay of 5 seconds. So reload, I hover over it, and after 5 seconds it starts. Alright, same thing when we take the mouse off of it. Alright, so that's basically the fundamentals of CSS transitions. Obviously you can get much more advanced when you're using multiple elements and so forth. So that's it. I just wanted to give kind of an introduction. So in the next video we'll continue with our menu project.